What's up, y'all? Ben from the Fantasy Chairmen podcast and the Sasquatch Square Off here, and I want to tell you all about Anchor. If you've ever thought about getting into the podcasting game, you need to be using Anchor. For one, it's free. That's right, completely free, and you get unlimited storage to hold all your episodes, all your audio clips, all your listener voice messages in one place, making it super easy for you to use. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. It's literally as easy as clicking a button. You can make money from your podcast on Anchor with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Yo!
Oh.
Alex.
Yeah?
This new relaunch theme song that we got for the Fantasy Chairmen podcast just gets me fired up.
Got you jacked, huh?
Just gets me jacked. I'm like ready for war.
I can tell.
I just get hyped. I get hyped. We've got our own new theme song made just for us. We are, at the end of our episodes for our relaunch week. We're coming out to the world.
This is it.
And it's been fun. It's been really fun. I'm enjoying the fact that we are branching out a little bit and just putting ourselves out there, putting ourselves on the line.
Getting out of the comfort zone.
That's it.
If you're going to do it, you jump in.
That's right.
And that's what we do.
Hopefully you've been listening to us throughout this relaunch week. This is our kind of our flagship episode, as Alex put it before we got on here, and kind of our creme de la creme here. We're going to be doing our Chairmen's Choices for the 2020 season. These are players that we want to have on our team in every single draft that we're doing.
If we can, yes.
I'm excited. I'm fired up, Alex. And this is the Fantasy Chairmen podcast.
Yes, thank you for listening.
We appreciate you coming to join us. I am Ben.
And I'm Alex.
And we are here to rock your ears with some fantasy football advice and knowledge.
And hopefully it works out.
Well, I think...
It doesn't always, but hopefully majority of it does.
We jumped in, and when we started doing this podcast for our leagues last year, we did a Chairman's Choice episode right before the season started, and I would say that we did quite well. I don't have our guys pulled up here in front of us, but I think we were mostly correct on the guys that we picked.
We did, yeah. I think we did pretty solid.
They either
I don't think you lost with some of our fantasy chairman picks. So
yeah, exactly. So hopefully we'll do the same thing again this season, maybe even be a little bit more on top of it, and hope that you can snag some of these players on your teams and they can certainly help you. But before we get into that, let's tell you where you can find us on social media. We are on Twitter at Chairman Fantasy. So just the inverse there, not Fantasy Chairman. It's at Chairman Fantasy.
At Chairman Fantasy.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And we are also at Find FF Leagues. Let us help you match up with a league that needs an owner, or if you have empty spots in your league and you need to get extra owners in there, we'll help match you up. We're kind of like a dating service, but for fantasy football leagues.
Just here to help you out. Here to help people find the way.
If you're putting out content and everything too, tag at Find FF Leagues, and we'll help with retweets and sharing your videos, your podcasts, your content, and we would appreciate if you helped us out and did the same now that we're putting these out here.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That'd be great.
The more the merrier.
We're all about building each other up. We want fantasy football world to just be happy-go-lucky place, especially in these times. Mm-hmm. So with as divided as things seem to be right now, we want the fantasy football community to be one, to be together.
In it to win it.
That's it. Exactly. What else there, Alex? Where can they find us and listen?
So you can listen and rate and review us on Apple Podcast, Spreaker, Google Podcast.
Google Podcast. Oh, yeah.
What else?
Spotify.
That's a big one.
That's my go-to. I like Spotify.
I don't have Spotify yet. I need to check
You've got the Apple Podcast.
I got the Apple Podcast. Yeah, I listen to all my podcasts on that. So.
That's right. Yeah, get on there. Some 5-star reviews. Help us out. Help us get our name out there a little bit more. Like I said, we will be more than happy to. If you're a content producer, we'll get on and do the same for you.
How many podcasts are you listening to nowadays that are fantasy football related?
Man, I follow right now probably around 30. I don't always listen to every single one of them. I just don't have the time. But from time to time, I'll jump in, and if there's one that I haven't listened to for a while, I'll try to listen to that episode. Or if one has
So you download, don't listen.
So sometimes you have to. I mean, there's a lot of them that are out there now, but sometimes I'll put them on, and like we've said on a couple of our other episodes, we're the perfect podcast to have as background noise. You can maybe if you pick up a few tips and tricks here and there, then that's good. But if you're doing some chores at home or driving to work or whatever, just throw us on and. Hopefully you hear something that can help you win your fantasy title this season.
30, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, like I said, man, I try to jump on and help out. When people need the follow or if they need the review, I'll get on there and I'll do it.
That's good on you. I need to step up my game then. I think I'm only at 5. So
it is
5 or 6.
Very, very difficult to jump on and listen to them all, though. So I do try to, when I can, listen to the ones that I haven't heard for a while. Every so often. But anyway, Fantasy Chairmen, we're here. This is our last episode of our relaunch week, and after that, we'll just be coming at you. Hopefully, every week is the plan. So every week throughout the season, and then we'll make a plan for next off season. So we're jumping into this right now and kind of trying to figure it out as we go along, and we hope you stick along with us as we, get used to this whole podcasting world.
Yeah, still trying to make our way and find what works for us best. So bear with us.
Exactly. So that being said, we already talked about it a little bit. This is our Chairmen's Choices episode. These are the guys that we're going to plant our flag on. The footballers have their my guys. Matthew Berry has his ride or die. Those types of things. These are our guys that we want to have on, like we said, pretty much every team that we draft.
Our Chairmen Choices.
Yeah, that's right. The choice.
The choice.
Choicest.
They are choice.
USDA grade A approved fantasy football players.
Choice.
Exactly. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get into it, starting with our quarterbacks. But first, let me give you a little bit of this. Chairman's Choices. I'll have Alex start it out. We're starting with the QB position. Who is your chairman's choice for quarterbacks, Alex?
So, my choice for quarterbacks in the Chairman Choice picks will be quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan.
Ooh, Matty Ice.
Matty Ice. So let me give you a few facts here while I'm picking old Matty Ice.
Mm-hmm.
So Falcons, they invested some pretty high draft capital last year and this year on some offensive line. I know that was kind of one of the big things last year, but offensive line, they invested 2 firsts and a third-round pick in the last 2 years in offensive line. So kind of takes a little bit usually to get the offensive line to mold, especially with rookies and new picks that come in. But you still got Alex Mack as the center. He's a Pro Bowl center.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Studley. The left tackle's name is eluding me, but he's a Pro Bowler, I think, as well. So offensive line should look a lot better this year, hopefully. This is going to be the second year in Dirk Cutter's offense. So he came back after he was let go from Tampa Bay. And He was actually the offensive coordinator before he did a stint with the Falcons. So Matt Ryan was kind of familiar in the Falcons organization, who was there at the time, kind of familiar with his offensive scheme. But usually, from what we've seen most of the time, there are some exceptions to the rule. But usually it takes about a year to get everyone kind of meshed in and on the same program. So this is going to be Cutter's second year working with these same guys. And usually, from what we've seen in the last 4 years with Matt Ryan, with new coordinator that comes in, his first year, he usually is right around like the low teens in quarterback finishes for the year. But then that second year, quarterback 2.
You talking about Ping Pong Ryan?
Ping Pong Ryan.
Ping Pong Matt Ryan?
Ping Pong Matty Ice Ryan.
Oh, yes.
So it's last 4 years in a row, he's bounced back and forth between, I think it was like 12, and then he went 2, and then he went 15 last year, or the year after that, and then he went 2, and then this last year, are you bringing it up here?
I'm pulling it up,
Pulling it up here. And then what did he finish last year? Was it 13 or 14?
He finished a little higher than that. He was 11.
He was 11. Okay, he was 11.
So if you want to hear the real ping pong effect, starting 2013 was quarterback 15. In 2014, quarterback 7. 2015, quarterback 19. 2016, quarterback 2. 2017, quarterback 15. 2018, quarterback 2. And 2019, quarterback 11.
And I think they've changed offensive coordinators 3 times in there. It was Sarkisian and then Cutter, and then I can't remember the one before that. I'm blanking on that one.
Wasn't it Shanahan?
It was Shanahan.
It was Kyle Shanahan. Yeah.
So takes a year for him to get integrated into the offense and really understand and have things be almost second, nature for them. So I think this year everyone's going to be firing all cylinders on the same page. You got new additions: Todd Gurley, pass catching, elite running back, as long as he can stay healthy with that knee. A little scary. And they also got Hayden Hurst, so we're adding some pretty good pieces on offense to only make the firepower on the Falcons even greater than it was last year.
Hayden Hurst definitely has the draft capital behind him to say he should be a good tight end. So.
Exactly. And then my last little piece is just the NFC South in general. Tampa Bay Buccaneers went out and signed Tom Brady. The Carolina Panthers, they've got Teddy Bridgewater. They got new head coach Matt Rule that's going to be coming in there with kind of a high-flying offense a little bit, kind of a lateral version of the air raid offense, but supposed to be a quick up-tempo moving offense. So I think scoring is going to be – there's going to be a whole lot of scoring in NFC South matchups this year.
Absolutely.
And what's one way to keep up with it? You're going to have to keep scoring to keep up with it. So,
yep, Matt Ryan still got his baller wide receiver, Julio Jones there, Calvin Ridley. He'll be slinging it. He'll be slinging it. And I do like Matt Ryan to bounce back again this year and potentially have that top 5 quarterback finish that we have seen. He's got to hold true to his roller coaster nature here, right?
Exactly. But to also back up the roller coaster nature, I think these are some definite points that kind of support that.
So, absolutely.
So Matt Ryan, my chairman choice for quarterback this year.
Yes, sir. I like it. I like it a lot.
Where's he being drafted right now? Do you know? ADP wise,
I think he's been down close to quarterback 10, and I don't have the ADPs pulled up here, but I'll see if I can find that here right quick.
I'm looking here as well.
Okay, I got it here. He is being drafted as quarterback 8 right now.
Quarterback 8. Okay.
Yep, and I believe 86th player overall off the board. So let's see, 12-team league. What are you looking at there? Round 7, round 8?
Yeah, right about that, round 7, yeah.
So you can, certainly when you wait on quarterback like you should, then, right around in round 7, then Matt Ryan is a very good pick, I believe, to take right back in there, especially if you believe in that bounce back. he's going to have.
And it's not, you're not really necessarily taking quarterback early per se, but I think he could really, by the end of the year, he's an option to possibly finish as one of the top QBs in the league points-wise. So
I'll play that average draft position there. All right, Matty Ice.
Matty Ice.
Ping pong Matt Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right. Ready for my chairman's choice here?
I'm ready. Okay. I don't even know yours. I told you mine just so we didn't double up, and you haven't told me yours, so I'll be surprised. Keeping
you surprised. You're not going to be surprised with my running back, but the rest you might be a little surprised by.
Okay.
All right. So, my chairman's choice at quarterback is none other than Matthew Stafford.
Two Matts?
Two Matts. It's the year of the Matt.
All right.
At quarterback. The Fantasy Sasquatch will be happy to hear that.
Return of the Matts?
Return of the Matts. Exactly.
I like it.
Return of the Matt. Yes, that is. Absolutely. Matt Stafford. So Matt Stafford is my chairman's choice for several reasons here. So when we look at Matt Stafford, last year he played through week 9 before he ended up missing the rest of the season due to a back injury. Had a bye in week 5. So he played in 8 games total. And through those 9 weeks in the 8 games that he played, Stafford was the quarterback 6 in just normal quarterback fantasy scoring.
Okay.
4-point passing touchdowns, that sort of thing. And since 2011, which was Matthew Stafford's 3rd year in the league, he has finished as a top 9 quarterback in 6 out of 9 of those seasons. So you look at Matthew Stafford a lot of the time, and I feel like just in general, people are just kind of like, meh.
It's like when he has those top 10 finishes,
it's just quiet.
It's super quiet. It's like he doesn't have not very often. He doesn't have these super big blow up weeks, but they happen, and you don't really notice them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just super steady Eddie almost.
Exactly. He's actually typically very consistent when he has these top 9 finishes. Getting you a good amount of points week in and week out, which for me, I like to have that.
Like a 17, 18-point game.
Especially at the quarterback position, especially when I don't have to pay a top-end price for it. Absolutely. In those 8 games last year that Stafford played, if you extrapolate those 8 games out to 16, and this is what's kind of fun. I know the extrapolations you can kind of talk, but when you just look at it.
So wait a minute. How many games are we extrapolating?
Out to 16.
Okay. How many did he play? He
8.
played. Okay.
So from his progress through 8 games, if you extrapolate it out to a full season, right, then this would have given him 582 passing attempts, 374 completions, 4,998 yards, 38 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and then 40 rushing attempts with 132 rushing yards. And so with that stat line, if that had come to fruition, he would have had 345.12 fantasy points and would have been good for the quarterback 3 at the end of the 2019 season.
Hey, I like that.
I know. I was actually really surprised when I went back and looked at this. And the thing about it was through those 8 games, he actually was very consistent. His point totals were all like right around each other week in and week out. I think he just had like 2 weeks that were a little bit down, but I think his lowest point total was around like 16 points or something like that.
Okay.
So not bad. Currently he's being drafted as the 13th quarterback off the board, the 108th player overall, so be right around the 9th round of drafts. And then I've done a few mocks recently and just some drafts in general where he's fallen quite a bit farther than that. So there's obviously the question marks with his health and his back injuries because he played through a back injury in 2018, but he played all 16 games essentially with that.
He did.
And then he got sidelined obviously last year.
He kind of underwhelmed while he was playing through the back injury too, if I remember right.
But I think I think he's coming back healthy. I haven't heard any negative reports on his back. I think he's at full go now, just from everything I've seen this offseason. And with Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay was a monster last year for him. And then even with just a turnstile of quarterback after Stafford went out, Kenny Golladay still performed. He'll still have Marvin Jones there, who's very reliable. And they just added DeAndre Swift, who we know is probably one of the best running backs in this draft class that's coming out. Phenomenal pass catcher. So I think with a wait on quarterback approach to a draft, which is typically what I do, and you can find a quarterback with, the potential ceiling of top 5 in round 9 or later, that's exactly what you want to get. I mean, I'm obviously not saying that Matt Stafford is Lamar Jackson, but that's what you got from Lamar Jackson last year. You're drafting him in round 8 or later, and then he's quarterback 1. That's what I want in a quarterback when I'm always playing the wait on quarterback strategy. So,
yes, you are. That is very true.
Matt Stafford, I think, as long as he stays healthy, man, I think he's going to be able to put up at least a top 10 finish at quarterback, if not potential top 5. And that's what I like to get there later in drafts. So Matthew Stafford is my chairman's choice for quarterback.
I like it.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And we will move on to running backs here, but right before that, we're going to take a quick break and let you hear a message from one of our charities that we are going to be supporting this season.
Hey everyone, Alex and Ben with the Fantasy Chairmen here. I wanted to let you all in on a great opportunity to win some awesome signed memorabilia while also being able to give back to a great cause.
This August and September, the Fantasy Chairmen are holding a raffle drawing contest where 100% of the proceeds will go to the Roundup City Racers, a nonprofit 501c3 fundraising program created by coaches of the Pendleton High School track and cross-country teams to provide athletic and scholarship opportunities to the youth of Pendleton, Oregon.
By purchasing a ticket to the Fantasy Chairman Fall Raffle Fundraiser, you will be contributing to a great cause. All proceeds go directly to the Roundup City Racers and back into the youth of Pendleton, Oregon, and any contributions you make is completely tax deductible. You also have the chance to win either a signed Todd Gurley LA Rams jersey or a signed Allen Robinson Chicago Bears jersey.
So what are you waiting for? For more information, visit www.fantasychairman.com and click on the Pay It Forward tab, or click the link in this episode's description. All right, we are back. We have running backs for our chairman's choices. Alex, who is your choice for running back?
My chairman's choice for running back this year will be Kenyon Drake, running back for the Arizona Cardinals.
Kenyon Drake.
The
now Adam Gaseless Kenyon Drake.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty much all you got to tell me right there.
It's panned out for a lot of people so far. So.
Oh, yes.
So, yes, Kenyon Drake. So, if you recall, last year was traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Arizona Cardinals. I believe it was week 10, week 9 or 10, one or the other.
It was...
it was whatever the game was that he just went off.
Week 9.
Week 9, okay.
Against the 49ers. Got off the plane and started playing.
Yes, and he came out hot, if I remember
Absolutely.
right. He scored 3 touchdowns. We watched that game. I think it was it Halloween night?
It was right around Halloween night. It was either Halloween night or pretty close to
somewhere in there. The Sunday of Halloween week, I believe. So
26.2 points, 110 rushing yards, 4 receptions for 52 yards. And he only had the 1 touchdown, but put up great number of points there.
You said just 1 touchdown? I thought he had a couple, maybe receiving touchdowns?
That was like week 15. He had 4 rushing touchdowns.
That's right. That's right, because that's what sunk me in the semifinals of the championship week. I took the blunt of that.
Yes, and now look at you bouncing back to him. You're not spurning him.
I'm not spurning him. I'm raising him up. Raising him up.
Fair enough.
So he's had a full offseason now to kind of get acclimated to the offense some more. I believe I've seen some news that he's been working with Kyler in the offseason, working on short passing routes as well. he had 3 weeks there where the run game, where you can see in the stat column, where the run game was they really got it going. Or, excuse me, actually, where the run game got stalled.
Yes.
So week 10, 13, and 14, they tried to get things going and stuff stalled. And you could see that it stalled. And Kyler Murray had some of his higher passing totals in those 3 weeks as well. So, I mean, when it's not working on the ground, that's you see a lot of NFL teams just go to the air at that point. So
I think that was when David Johnson was kind of coming back to, and they were trying to figure out how to utilize both Drake and Johnson, and it was a little kind of wishy-washy there for a little bit. And I was trying to remember, so Chase Edmonds got hurt there too, and he stayed out for a while. Wasn't there another running back that they were trying to utilize along with David Johnson and Kenyon Drake? I don't remember his name at all.
Couldn't remember off the top of my head.
Fourth string something.
So you could see those 3 weeks where the run game got stalled. That's going to happen occasionally, but for the most part, when the run game was rolling, Kenyon Drake was thriving. I mean, he was having near 100-yard totals on the ground. Through the air, he was adding, about 30 to 50 yards through the air, which is excellent, adding on top of that some of the receptions and occasionally throwing in a receiving touchdown here and there. He had that one game where he had 4 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he was unstoppable. Guy was crazy, and he joined the team in week 9.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals, they gave him the transition tag this year, so they want to try and work something out with him long term, but it's just not enough time right now to figure it out, especially with the whole pandemic thing going on. It's kind of been really tough.
Makes it a little more difficult.
A lot of people to figure out those long-term deals. But from what Drake has been reporting, he's not in a rush to get a long-term deal done, but he wants to be there. So, and I think that offense, they want to get that. I think they want to lock him up. I think he's only 26, 27.
Yeah, he's 26.
He's fairly young, and I mean,
26. Yep.
He doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires either. So
no, he did not get used the way that he should in Miami under Gase. That's for sure.
Yes, trust me, there's a lot of Kenyon truthers out there that cried free Kenyon Drake for the longest time.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
Man,
so
the Cardinals
got out of there.
Yeah. Cardinals also added DeAndre Hopkins to the offense. So what do you think that's going to do with the defenses? They're going to be spread out trying to worry about DeAndre Hopkins along with Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella. Hakeem Butler is going to be back this year coming off an injury as well. Am I missing anybody?
Dan Arnold.
Oh, Dan Arnold. I forgot about Dan Arnold. Yes, going to have to
forget about Dan Arnold.
Going to have to account for Dan Arnold.
Yeah.
So
just that air raid style of offense too. I mean, that they're going to be wanting to pass it often.
Exactly, and it's going to
send it deep.
Everything's going to be spread out. That's only going to create huge rushing lanes. Continue to create those rushing lanes for Kenyon Drake.
You've got to account for Kyler's legs too, which typically helps running backs when they have a mobile quarterback. So that's
And I mean, with all this, I can honestly see him getting close to somewhere within the range of 1,500 all-purpose yard or 1,500 scrimmage yards, and anywhere from 10 touchdowns to more than that. So,
ooh-wee.
If you like the sounds of that, I'm talking top 5 running back finish. So
yeah, no, I like Kenyon Drake a lot. I know a lot of people like Kenyon Drake a lot this year. And just to clarify, I don't think we talked about it at the top of the episode, but our Chairman's Choices here are for redraft leagues. We're keeping this strictly to redraft for this season only. So not Dynasty here.
Not necessarily Dynasty. I know I threw some Dynasty bits in there, but...
Well, I mean, I think that's good to be able to do that. Just if people are thinking about Kenyon Drake in Dynasty, you can have those thoughts in the back of your mind. But for redraft, for sure, I'm loving Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake, going to get it done this year. Chairman Choice for running back.
Good. I like it a lot. Let's move on. I'm gonna have just kind of a redux on my Chairman's Choice from last year, but I just got to stick with this guy.
All right. Well,
I think I already know who it is. You absolutely know who it is.
Yep.
My Chairman's Choice for running back is none other than Nick Chubb.
Surprise.
Let me just let you marinate in that for a little bit.
Let me ask you this. Who's on your Dynasty team?
Hey, like I said, man, you got to quit bringing up biasisms here because I love Nick Chubb in leagues that I don't have Nick Chubb, okay?
Okay, all right, fair enough.
If I can get him on my teams, then that's what I want to do.
Fair enough.
Because he's my chairman's choice.
Tell me why he's your chairman's choice.
If you didn't listen, if you haven't heard our podcast from while we were doing it for our leagues, it's been available, but we just haven't pushed it publicly. Last year, Nick Chubb was my chairman's choice for running back as well. And Nick Chubb will honestly just be my chairman's choice from here on till he retires, probably. So,
goodness.
Anyway, Nick Chubb finished his RB7 in 2019 despite the struggles of that offensive line and the return of Kareem Hunt in the second half of the season. Nick Chubb was second in the NFL in rushing yards behind only Derrick Henry, and Chubb had 1,494 rushing yards. He was also second in the NFL in yards after contact, had 882 yards after contact, top 3 in the league in yards after contact per attempt with 3 yards. He was tied for number 1 in the league with 32 broken tackles.
Okay.
So he's a bruiser, right?
He is.
Nick Chubb, he's just a big back bruiser that'll just run through you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me tell you this, Alex. Nick Chubb has some surprising breakaway speed.
Oh, he's quick.
So if you look
I've
look at next gen stats, Nick Chubb had the 4th fastest touchdown run in the NFL last season. Speed of 21.95 miles per hour.
That's cooking.
Oh, absolutely. Nick Chubb averaged 5 yards per attempt and was 3rd in the NFL in rush attempts with 298 attempts and a long of 88 yards. Yeah, that's where he did the 21.95 miles per hour.
Okay.
88-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, I believe it.
So I tell you all this so that I can bring this in here and just say that he did all this with the 28th worst offensive line in rushing last year. So, and also just a terrible head coach and coaching staff.
Oh yeah,
that did not know how to call games. At all.
He was way in over his head.
So Nick Chubb did all of that with what I just talked about. All of that. Nick Chubb, to me, when I watch the dude run, is like a top 5 back in talent. Just alone. Just the eyeball test. I was watching highlights the other day, just getting myself fired up.
I don't think you need to watch any more highlights to have yourself get hyped up with Nick Chubb.
Getting myself fired up. And I won't drown it out too long. We all know how great Nick Chubb is here. But they obviously, the Browns hired Kevin Stefanski, who's the offensive coordinator for the run-heavy Minnesota Vikings last year. They were 4th in the league with 476 rushing attempts and had a lead back finish in the top 5 fantasy scores, despite that lead back being injured and playing less than 50% of the snaps from week 13 on. I think Kevin Stefanski and his coaching staff is going to bring in that run-heavy mindset. I think the offense is going to run through Nick Chubb and probably Kareem Hunt as well.
That was going to be a question of mine. Is what are your thoughts on Kareem Hunt? He didn't join them until week 8.
Week 11.
Week 11 from suspension.
Yeah, he came back because he was suspended till week 10. So he may have played week 10, but I can't remember.
You only have that short little time span of seeing Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb working together. What did the numbers look like when he came into play?
So Nick Chubb in weeks 1 through 10 was the running back 6 in fantasy scoring. After Hunt's return, Chubb was only running back 15, while Hunt was the running back 20. That being said, both of them in weeks 16 and 17 both had pretty bad games.
Okay.
I think the teams focused on shutting down the run game, shutting down the running backs there, and they were both divisional opponents. And
first 2 things didn't work for Freddie Kitchens, so then he just tried to, he flipped his playbook upside down and tried to run plays that way. It didn't work.
Freddie Kitchens didn't know what he was doing, man.
No, he did not.
Didn't know what he was doing.
It was
so
bad.
I know people bring up Kareem Hunt and that last stretch of the season, but here's the thing with the offensive line is my number one thing that I turn to with how bad they were last year. They addressed that heavily this offseason by signing Jack Conklin to play right tackle. They used the number 10 overall pick to draft Jedrick Wills Jr. to play left tackle. They retained J.C. Tretter, who's been a really solid center for them the last 4 years. And they retained left guard Joel Bitonio, who actually had also been really solid on that line. It was both their tackles and then their right guard that were actually the problem for them last year. So their biggest question mark is going to be the right guard position. But just with the moves that they made, they'll hopefully be able to find a guard that will play just solid enough at that right guard spot that they will be vastly improved from last year. Pro Football Focus has their line ranked as the number 6 O-line going into the 2020 season now, just by looking at various grades and who they brought in. So,
I like to look at those things, but those things change really quickly in the NFL.
Well, they certainly can.
It changes very quickly.
But all signs point up right now. They brought in Austin Hooper as well, so just another weapon out there. Hopefully Baker can play closer to his rookie season and not like last season. But I just think, man, if their O-line just improves even a little bit, look at what Nick Chubb did. I've also heard talk of how they're going to be using Hunt and how he's going to be used probably quite a bit as like a slot receiver.
I've heard that as well.
And that they're going to be potentially having a split backfield with both Hunt and Chubb back there. And I think, honestly, if I could do an honorary mention of Chairman's Choice for running back, I would actually say Kareem Hunt as well, because I truly believe that I think you're going to see a potential like top 7 finish, top 8 finish from Chubb, and maybe even a top 15, top 20-ish finish from Kareem Hunt.
Been fully invested in Brown's running game this year, fully.
And I believe that you should be too.
Well,
I mean, you've got Kareem Hunt.
I do have Kareem Hunt.
You can trade him to me.
Nah, I can't do that. Not for your price.
Oh, man. Come on. Anyway, no. Nick Chubb, all aboard. I just love the way the dude runs.
You're doubling down on it. Year 2.
Doubling down. It worked out last year.
If it does not work out, will Nick Chubb be your running back for next year?
Probably. Like I said, till he retires. He's my Chairman's Choice. My flag is planted. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, go get them. Make sure you draft them this season because they will certainly be worth it. Chairman's Choice, running back, boom.
I like it. All right. I'm there. I'm with you.
Good. All right, let's move on to wide receivers here. You get me all fired up on Nick Chubb here.
You're all fired up, man. You're all fired up.
Absolutely, all fired up. Let's go to wide receiver. Alex, who do you got for your Chairman's Choice?
My wide receiver for the Chairman's Choice pick will be DJ Moore, wide receiver of the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh. Okay. This one surprised me a little bit from you, actually.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. I don't usually preach a lot of DJ Moore, but I decided to look into him, and I kind of like what I saw and what I think is building on the horizon for him. So let me hit you with this stat right off the bat here. So last year, DJ Moore, he put up 1,175 receiving yards on 87 receptions with 135 targets thrown at him, and he had 4 touchdowns. And those all came from Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen, people.
Who?
Yeah, not even with the team anymore. He got traded off to
the Washington football team.
The Washington football team, yes.
By the
to
way,
a team in Washington.
They couldn't have come up with something better. I mean, even if it's temporary.
Bad.
Oh.
So, yeah, think about those. Those are pretty darn good numbers with Kyle Allen.
Who?
Kyle Allen.
Okay.
So, Panthers went out. They got themselves Teddy Bridgewater as a quarterback. Now, granted, a lot of the things that you hear about Teddy was, when the last that we saw him was with the Saints, and he was more, it was a lot of kind of check down throws. Every now and again, he kind of would stretch himself out with throwing intermediate throws. But if you actually go and look at Teddy Bridgewater's stats and Drew Brees' stats over the last 2 years, they are very, very similar, which leads me to believe that Teddy Bridgewater, he's a smart guy. He just played what the system in line was put in front of him, and he was able to adapt to that system, and it worked. I think he won, he went 4 starts or something when Drew was out with the wrist injury?
I think Teddy Bridgewater had 6 starts, and I think they won.
I thought he won 4 or 5 of them.
I think it was 5 for sure, but I think they may have won all of them.
Yeah, so... So a lot of people fall back on that, and I think that is. I don't think that's a good thing to do, especially with a new offensive scheme, a new head coach, new team. And we've seen Teddy Bridgewater be able to air it out before. When he was quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, he was throwing long balls to Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. I mean, he was throwing those kind of deep balls, so he can do it. And Matt Rule, that offense that he's bringing in, like I kind of mentioned before, it's almost like the air raid system, but a little more lateral emphasized. So a lot more crossing routes, slants, kind of sluggo routes as well. So you're going to be seeing.
They got some good players there for that.
Yeah. I mean, you've got probably the best running back, wide receiver mixture in Christian McCaffrey. That's going to be out there receiving balls. You're going to have Curtis Samuel, who's a lightning bug. Little short guy, going to be just running to speedy routes.
Really good underneath, too. They used him a lot to go deep. But
they also acquired Robbie Anderson this offseason, who was a wide receiver when Matt Rule was the head coach of, was it Temple? Temple. So there's going to be a lot of weapons out there to account for in a new system that the NFL hasn't seen. DJ Moore coming into another year, kind of cementing himself as the number one option on this team. I think he's due for a big year this year.
DJ Moore and Teddy Bridgewater are going to be very good friends.
I believe that 100%. So
friends. I like the DJ Moore pick for sure as
and
well.
One more little point right here that I think some people kind of look over. The Panthers lost a big pieces on their defense. Kuechly. He retired.
Yeah, they did.
He retired, and he was a perennial Pro Bowl linebacker year in, year out.
I don't think they're going to have a great defense this year.
No, I don't think so either. And what's that mean? They're going to be getting scored on a lot, and that also relates to how they're going to get back to the point totals that they're behind on. They're going to have to throw. They're going to have to play catch-up, which means lots of balls being thrown.
DJ Moore, help.
DJ Moore time, baby.
I like it.
He's my wide receiver chairman choice.
Love it. He's being drafted right now as wide receiver 15 off the board, along the likes of A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Juju, Keenan Allen, all right around in that area. I think DJ Moore is a pretty great pick amongst some of those.
There's a lot of good players right there, and you're kind of at that point right there. You're kind of taking,
You want to look at the things like the defense.
Exactly.
And who's going to be having to air it out a little bit more.
And at the end of the day, you're almost kind of planting your flag too. Like you have to believe in, like we said, you're looking into stuff like that. Defense, offensive scheme, quarterback being thrown to him.
You've seen the quarterback throw before.
Exactly.
Play in a sizable amount of games. So, yeah, there's certainly a few names in there that I would take DJ Moore over. A couple that would make me question for sure.
Yeah, it'd be a tough one. There are a few tough names in there, but DJ Moore,
maybe Matt and I will have a Sasquatch square off with DJ Moore and one of these guys.
Okay,
one of these episodes.
DJ Moore, I think big year's coming, guys. So be on top of it.
Draft him. I like it. All right.
Who do you got for your wide receiver, Ben?
Wide receiver, chairman choice for me.
Let me guess first.
Okay.
Is it Odell Beckham Jr.? Also on Ben's dynasty team?
No, but I kept looking. I kept looking at him.
Didn't you have him last year too?
I don't think that I did. I think I may have had somebody else.
We're going to have to look up the names.
We'll look it up.
We'll try to
I don't think I did. I talked about Odell a lot last year.
We'll try to find it on a future episode, find our chairman's choices.
But he was disappointing. But I do believe in Odell for a comeback. But he is not my chairman's choice here. I'm told you, I'm not just picking dudes on my dynasty team here,
That's good.
Man.
That's
Come
good.
Come on. And they're on. Listen, my players on my dynasty team, they're on my dynasty team because I believe in them.
Man of the people.
Jeez. Oh, anyway, no. This guy is like just perennially undervalued. And I have heard a bit of talk about him recently. People have kind of been putting his name out there, but it's old Bobby Woods.
Bobby Woods?
Old Robert Woods.
Bobby Trees?
Yes, with the L.A. Rams. Robert Woods, man.
Dude, I like Robert Woods.
Yeah.
Guy's a stud. Underrated.
For whatever reason, year in, year out, he's always being drafted behind where he finishes. And he's so Woods is almost always just more of an ADP, like a value pick for me. Just because you can pretty much count on him to outplay where he's being drafted year in and year out. So over the last 2 seasons, Woods, he's vastly outperformed where he gets drafted and definitely one of the most undervalued fantasy assets out there. In 2019, he finished as a wide receiver 17, and in 2018, he finished as the wide receiver 10. Currently, Robert Woods is being drafted as the wide receiver 26. 57th player overall, so he's going right about round 4, round 5 of 12-team leagues.
Okay.
With the Rams moving on from both Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks, they are now 7th in the league with the most vacated targets going into the 2020 season. We know what Sean McVay likes to do. You know, his offense, it's going to continue to be a high-flying, innovative system. He knows how to use his players better than almost any coach that's out there right now. Definitely uses Robert Woods creatively. He gets a lot of rushes, actually, surprising amount of rushes on like jet sweeps and end arounds, things like that, and actually has had quite a few within the red zone as well. So he almost gets some of those goal line rushes from time to time. They try to be sneaky, which is nice for Woods, but
sneaky value.
Exactly. There's a lot of people that are talking about McVay's system moving towards running more 2 tight end sets now.
Do you buy that?
I think we might see a little bit more of it. I don't know if it's going to be like a heavily predicated thing, but I think we might see more of it than we have in the past.
Okay.
It's not going to be as many 3 wide receiver sets. It'll probably be more evenly split between 12 personnel and then the 3 wide receivers.
I kind of believe that too. I think with them moving on from Brandon Cooks, I think Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, and then 2 tight ends as well, or even Woods or Kupp, which I think it's probably going to be more Woods on the 1 wide receiver sets.
Yep.
2 tight end.
Yep, absolutely. I think Woods and Kupp, they're going to be the 2 outside receivers in those systems. Josh Reynolds, Van Jefferson will get their run in the three wide receiver sets, but not as much as we have seen in the past, I don't think. So anyway, I believe Woods and Kupp, they're going to be the outside guys playing over 90% of the snaps every game. That's kind of what you've seen from Woods in particular, is he's typically right in that 90 to 100% of snaps pretty much every game, unless he's got some sort of injury or something nagging at him. In the last 2 seasons with the Rams, Woods has been targeted over 130 times.
It's a lot of targets.
He sees frequently like a lot of targets. And so with that opening of 120 targets in this offense, it's not going to surprise me at all if we see Woods' targets go up to about like 150, 155 even, which that's up in the range of some of those top receivers from last year. I don't have the list of the target leaders, but if I remember right, 155 would be about 3rd in the league, I think.
It was up there, yeah.
I think Michael Thomas was like 180, and then it was like 160 was the next best after that. Allen Robinson was up in there.
He was in the 150s.
So anyway, he would be amongst the most targeted receivers in the NFL. And then last year, too, Woods only scored 2 receiving touchdowns.
That's wild.
It's just crazy. And it didn't come until week 14 and week 17. So for a receiver that gets as many targets and as heavily involved as Woods is in a Sean McVay system, like you have to expect some sort of positive regression in touchdowns. Like that number can only come up, I think.
I believe
barring injury, obviously. So as one of Goff's most trusted targets, I think Robert Woods is just going to feast this year. I think both he and Cooper Kupp are going to be excellent snags at wide receiver. When you draft for your redraft leagues.
Dude, you can't be doing these double ups, all right? You got to stick to one.
No, I can.
That's cheating.
I can believe in both.
You're cheating, man.
I can believe in both.
I got one right here. So when people go back and say, did they get their chairman choice right? And then
I'm not. You said, well, I'm telling you right now, Robert Woods is my chairman's choice. Okay, but I also believe in Cooper Kupp.
Okay,
like, come on now.
You got me on the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and now you got Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. Like,
yeah, I'll just throw out an honorary. Why not?
I didn't make no honoraries.
Anyway,
no honorary.
I just like to get Alex all fired up over here. He's a stickler for certain things.
Let's double up.
Draft Robert Woods as the 26th receiver off the board and enjoy that top end wide receiver 2 or back end wide receiver 1 finish.
I like it.
Just
all day.
Do it.
Robert Woods.
Bobby Woods, baby. Bobby Woods.
This guy's a stud.
Let's go to tight end, Alex. We've got our tight ends, and then we will have chairman's choices for defenses and special teams, although a lot of people are starting to nix those in their leagues now.
They are. I think a lot of people are going away from the kickers and kind of already have, but I think defenses, they may be the next to go.
Probably about the next to go. I know it's a
What's your thought on
topic.
the defense special teams? I like them just because you get to watch the other side of the ball, and it's a little bit of skin in the game for you. So, and the special teams as well. So I'm not necessarily a big-time kicker fan because it was way too – the roller coaster was way too wild.
Yeah,
so.
I think you can set defensive scoring to make it a little less outlandish. I kind of like the scoring that we have in our Dynasty League, which is just a little bit different than standard scoring. Defenses do tend to have kind of a kicker vibe with just the standard scoring, in my opinion. But I don't know. I mean, I've done leagues with defenses. I've done leagues without defenses.
We've done leagues with IDPs and your offensive players, which I've
got a league like that right now, which is
that was a
interesting.
pretty wild league. That's a lot to take.
I also have a league that's just all IDP. There's no offensive players.
That's a lot to take into consideration, but I don't know. I like the defenses.
I think they're all fun, honestly. I think you just have to take each league for what it is and enjoy it. So if your league mates want defenses, have a defense. If your league decides they don't want defense, take the defense out. Yeah. So we will have chairman's choices for defense. We won't spend a lot of time on them. But first, let's go ahead and talk about our tight ends here. Alex, who do you got?
So my tight end is going to be tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, new tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, Hayden Hurst.
Ooh, two Falcons.
Two Falcons. Ooh. I'm stacking them.
Ooh.
Stacking them. I believe it.
Oh, man. Let's just give you a little bit of high porn for the Falcons
that Falcon
here.
Stack here. So Hayden Hurst got traded from the Baltimore Ravens to the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, they gave up a second-round pick. That's some high capital for a tight end.
Mm-hmm. He was drafted in the first round, too. So
That he was. So I don't think it was necessarily Hurst wasn't a good player. He was just playing behind Mark Andrews, who turned out to be a stud.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to get out on the field when you got Mark Andrews tearing stuff up in front of you and playing like a stud. So Hayden Hurst got Mark Andrews on the brain now.
I know.
So Falcons invest high draft capital in Hayden Hurst. So that means they believe in him. They're going to want to keep him there for a little bit. Matt Ryan's already putting out hype pieces on Hayden Hurst, seeing that Hayden Hurst has phenomenal hands. He's doing some crazy things. They're working together already in the offseason. I got some stats for you now, some Dirk Cutter tight end stats. This was a little eye-opening for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, you kind of went over these with me while you were writing these down, and yes, I was kind of like, oh, okay.
So Dirk Cutter, his first year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had Cameron Brate as the tight end there, 2016. Cameron Brate ended the year with 660 yards and 8 touchdowns. Pretty good numbers. Mm-hmm. 2017, mixture of Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard. So I tagged both players together for the numbers. 2017, Tampa Bay Buccaneer tight end stats, 1,023 receiving yards, 12 receiving touchdowns. 2018, 854 receiving yards, 11 receiving touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And then Dirk Cutter last year, his first season back with the Falcons, and this was with Austin Hooper as the tight end. Austin Hooper only played in 13 games. He got injured. What was it, an ankle injury?
Yeah, I think it was an ankle, and he ended up missing a couple of games.
Like 3 or 4, I thought. But, he played 13. So,
yeah.
Ended the season with 787 yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. That's 13 games right there. So,
heck yeah.
At one point, Austin Hooper was he was wide receiver or tight end number 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah,
while he was healthy up to week 13. Before he got hurt, he was on a tear.
Yes, he was.
He was killing it. So, I think the tight end in Dirk Cutter's offense is just he's a He's a piece that you could plug into the system as long as that tight end is athletic enough and has good enough hands. They're going to be able to flourish in this offense. I think Hayden Hurst has all those properties. He's 27, 28, so he's kind of an older guy. I think he's able to get up to speed a little quicker.
That's about when tight ends kind of flourish, though, too, I think.
That's what,
after a few years in the league. A couple of years.
So before Hooper also went down with an injury, we were seeing him operate quite a bit in the slot. So weeks 1 through 13, operating in the slot was a red zone favorite of Matt Ryan's as well. Mm-hmm. And I think this is my prediction that Dirk Cutter's also going to use Hayden Hurst in the slot a lot, and there's going to be a whole slot a lot. You like that?
Oh,
one?
Hey.
Slot a lot.
Yeah, it's slot a lot. Speaking of slot a lot, you'll like my choice there. But keep going. Keep good.
So, accessing him in the slot, lots of red zone targets. I think Hayden Hurst. I think top 10. I believe top 10 is very likely, and then he may even creep up into the top 6 or 7, maybe.
I could see that for sure. Absolutely. Yep.
And Hayden Hurst right now, he's probably going as probably outside, well, maybe right at the top 10 for tight ends.
Hayden Hurst right now is being drafted as the 14th tight end off the board.
Give me that every day.
Yeah,
man.
116th player overall. You can certainly play a weight on tight end approach, which is also something I like to do.
I love doing that.
Load up on my skill position players, running backs, wide receivers, and then weight on quarterback and tight end, and take those high upside guys later in the draft. That's usually how I like to play it. But, yeah, no, I'm with you. Hayden Hurst, great tight end pick, especially later in your drafts.
Take him. Definitely. I think he's going to have a good year, you guys.
I love it. Love it. Hayden Hurst, Alex's chairman choice at tight end.
Who you got for tight end?
Getting into mine, we have got from the Miami Dolphins, Mr. Mike Gesicki.
Gesicki.
Oh, Gesicki.
Did that video that he put out, what was it, a few weeks ago, where he threw the ball? Have you seen that one?
I don't think I even saw that one.
Oh, so he's got he's got his garage door open, and he has the garage door, the large garage door open as well, and he throws a ball, and it goes over the top of his house. He runs through the garage door, and comes out on the other side, catches the ball before it hits the ground.
It wasn't like cut or anything.
I don't think so. If it was, it was spliced very well.
That's pretty impressive. Hot dang, was somebody on the roof of his house and threw the ball down to him?
Maybe. You know what? That could be.
Either way,
it looked awesome.
Mike Gesicki's just an athletic freak. I mean, I don't remember all of his combine stats and things, but I know when he was testing at the combine, he was like off the charts for tight ends. So he's just an athletic freak. But Mike Gesicki quietly sort of finished as the tight end 11 last year. He had all of his best games when Ryan Fitzpatrick was starting. And despite Tua being football ready, he recently came out a couple weeks ago, I think it said he was good to go. I believe we still see Fitzpatrick start most, if not all, of the 2020 season this year.
I think so as well.
So Fitzmagic and Gesicki are great friends. And the biggest appeal for me to drafting Mike Gesicki is his usage as more of a big slot receiver rather than a typical tight end. So in 2019, Gesicki lined up in the slot, so you'd want to talk about slot a lot.
Slot a lot.
He was used in the slot 460 times as opposed to lining up in line as a normal tight end 160 times. So
essentially he was wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 on his own team then most of the time.
Exactly. And this was easily the most that a tight end was used in a slot role. I think the next best was like 100 less snaps in the slot. It's pretty crazy. And then just through some coach speak this offseason, it sounds like Gesicki's going to continue to be used heavily in that big slot role. There's been a lot of various articles and statistics floating around out there pointing out how Chan Gailey, who's the new offensive coordinator for the Dolphins, how he doesn't really utilize tight ends effectively in his offense, but however, he utilizes slot receivers in his offenses very, very well. So if they're going to continue to utilize Gesicki just as more of a big slot receiver, I think he's going to have a great year in a Changeli-led offense with Fitzmagic, who just, sends it.
Oh, yeah.
does what Fitzmagic does.
Bearded wonder. He lets it rip.
Put up some stats, but also throw several interceptions. He is on the Dolphins, who I don't think we're going to see a resurgence from quite yet. I think they're still going to be probably playing from behind most of the time and having to air it out pretty frequently. So that's another good reason for Gesicki there. I think behind, the two, Devontae Parker and Peyton Williams. Is it Peyton Williams? Preston Williams. Preston Williams. I think Gesicki's probably going to be either the probably maybe like a 2B sort of receiving option with Preston Williams there. Maybe 3 if Preston Williams comes out and plays like he did during that little stint that he had. He's currently being drafted as the tight end 12, the 121st player overall, so like round 10, 11-ish in 12-team leagues. And I think he's got the potential, kind of like Hayden Hurst, to finish up within that top 7-ish range of tight ends. So being
he plays
able
a lot out of the slot, then I think
for sure
he has the opportunity to
do
that.
This is one where if you really like to wait on tight end, right now ADP says he's being drafted around Hayden Hurst. I think in most mocks and drafts that I've done, I've actually seen Hurst get drafted before Gesicki. So it kind of just depends, but I think if you're one that really likes to wait a long time on tight end, then Gesicki's going to be one that, has potential top 6-ish, top 7-ish upside at a top 12 or 13 price. They did just sign like couple weeks ago, or they didn't sign, but they traded for Adam Shaheen. The Dolphins did from the Bears. Ooh. Adam Shaheen,
he was a promising young talent.
We've seen him be promising with the Bears. We've seen him, I think he's had some pretty bad injuries before too. So I don't know that we've seen Shaheen come full circle. So there is that there. There hasn't really been anything that I've seen that has said how they plan to use Shaheen, if he's just going to be more of a depth piece. But, waiting on tight end, being able to get Gesicki, who I think is going to be more of a slot receiver than a tight end, is going to be a great piece to pick up later on in your drafts. So, Chairman's choice, if I can get Gesicki on my teams.
You doing it?
I'm going to be taking him.
All right.
For sure.
I like it.
For sure. All right, well, let's move into our defense special teams, and we don't need to take too much time on these. We might be running a little long on this episode, but it's our Chairman's Choice episode.
Oh, yeah.
This is the stuff you come to us for right here.
Yeah, come on.
So we'll go over our defenses, and then we'll just cover quickly again through all of our picks for each of us and go along from there. So who do you got?
Defense. All right, my defense. Do you want to talk about doubling down from last year on Nick Chubb? I'm doubling down on my defense
double down
from last
on the
year
defense.
as well.
Okay.
My defense for the Chairman's Choice is going to be the New England Patriots defense special team.
Okay.
So
I wonder why that is.
Let me just well, for one, you've got the greatest head coach to ever coach football, Bill Belichick, out there running his schemes and controlling the team his way by his will, also known as the Emperor.
Oh god. Palpatine
the Emperor out there running in his sleeveless hoodie.
Got his stormtroopers on the field, just sending them.
So let me give you AFC East opponents. You tell me if this doesn't sound juicy, tasty for you. So they have to play these teams twice every year. So Buffalo Bills, quarterback Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. Miami Dolphins, quarterback Fitzpatrick or Tua, depending on what they want to go with. And the New York or Josh Rosen, yeah. And last but not least, New York Jets.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold. So get to play. That's 6 games right there out of the season. So Buffalo, I mean, they're kind of morphing into a more better. Potent offense. They got Stephon Diggs, but I mean, when you got Stephon Gilmore to match him, I don't think you have to worry too much about Diggs.
Yeah.
So, and the Dolphins, they've got some upgraded pieces as well, but I don't think the Patriots are going to be worrying too much about them.
I don't know. They lose to the Dolphins every year.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I think their defense still scores plenty fine. But
a couple other opponents that are going to be out of opponents that are out of the AFC East, not in the division. The Raiders, they're going to be playing the Raiders at home. Now, don't get mad at me for this one, but they're going to be playing the Denver Broncos at home. We just don't know exactly what Drew Lock's going to do when they go to Gillette.
He's going to lock them up.
All right, we'll see. That is to be seen. And the Patriots also play the Chargers on the road. So it'll be there's some good matchups there for the defense.
All the AFC West opponents?
Pretty much. No, pretty much.
Okay.
Another, suspect division. So
we will see.
Lots of plus opponents that the defense will be facing, and I think the Patriots, when they acquired Cam Newton, I think Newton will be the quarterback for this team. And I think with the exit of Tom Brady and the entrance of Newton or Stidham, there's a possibility Stidham could be out there.
It's going to be Cam.
It's going to be Cam. I believe so as well. I think the Patriots are going to be relying heavily on the run. They're going to keep it low, slow. They want to control the game, control the clock. And with the defense, that only helps your defense. That creates less opportunities for the opposing offense to score on your defense and keep those 10 points that you start out with.
I like it. I like it a lot.
New England defense.
That's right.
My chairman's choice.
That's right. Okay. I'm going to surprise you with this one because you thought I was going to double down with my defense, but my chairman's choice for defense is going to be the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh.
I will give honorary mention to the Denver Broncos defense. Anyway, so the Ravens defense, they've got just on the offensive side of the ball, they've got that high-powered rushing offense, and that's anytime you can have especially record-setting rushing offense, that does nothing but help set up a fantasy DST by limiting time that the defense is on the field because you're already starting out with 10 points.
Oh, yeah.
So you want that time that they're on the field limited. You don't want those opportunities for the other team to get yards and start slowly just draining points away from the 10 you start out with. So by the Ravens rushing the ball a lot, they're going to be burning clock pretty frequently. And if their offense, they're high-powered, so they're going to be scoring frequently, hopefully eating a lot of time off the clock, and that just forces the opponent to get to play catch-up and play from behind, which that's good for defenses because it's allowing for all those opportunities for interceptions and takeaways, sacks.
It can help or it could hurt the defense. It can help. Most of the time it helps the defense because the defense knows that the other team has to come out. They have to play catch-up so they can kind of lean towards the pass more often because, incomplete passes are going to stop your play clock and you'll be able to maximize on your time. So they can kind of see what's coming a little bit, which leads more to interceptions, sacks, and those all gain you points.
It depends on how much of a cushion the defense decides to play. If they start playing that prevent, that's when you get the garbage time points for your offensive players on the other side.
Yep.
And it does kind of start to take away points from the defense. But I do like it when the offense for your defense that you have can get up early because they're not going to be playing prevent in the first quarter. They're not going to be playing prevent in the second quarter, the third quarter, which – again, like we just talked about, allows for those opportunities for the interceptions, allows them. They're going to play more aggressively early on, so getting those sacks, things like that. And speaking of sacks, the Ravens, there was no major loss for them on the defensive side of the ball, and they gained a phenomenal player on the defensive front in Calais Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Basically got him for free. I think it was a fifth-round pick that they traded for him, something along those lines.
It's crazy.
So, added Calais Campbell to an already pretty stout front and a great secondary. They finished as the fourth best defense in fantasy last year, averaging 9.6 fantasy points per game in just standard defensive scoring setups. Currently, they're being drafted as the third defense off the board, 138th pick overall, which honestly is, to me, way too early for any defense to be taken. But
wait to the last round, people, unless if you really believe truly in a defense, I would take them to the second to last round.
Maybe a couple rounds early if you really, really believe in it. But
We don't advise it, though.
No, even that. And I have in my notes here, hopefully you just play in a league where everyone's smart enough to wait until near the end of the draft for defenses, and then you can snag you some Ravens or some New England Patriots right there in the second to last round or something if you want to be sneaky about it.
Sneaky.
We know a lot of home leagues, people are just taking defenses crazy early, which if that's the case, go ahead, let them take that, and then snag you a Denver Broncos defense towards the end of the draft. But anyway, I think that the Ravens defense are going to be a great safe pick with number 1 overall upside and probably a top 6 or 7 floor as far as defensive scoring goes in fantasy. So Baltimore Ravens, Chairman's Choice for defense for me.
I like it.
And that's it for our Chairman's Choices, Alex. Let's give them a little rundown real quick. We'll have you just go through yours, give them your full Chairman's Choice lineup. And our goal here, well, I guess not necessarily our goal, but when we looked at our choices after this, we looked at it and thought there potentially could be a way you could get all these guys on your team in your draft if it falls the right way.
All of the ADPs were actually, depending on kind of where you are, you may have to reach a little bit depending on where your slot is, but they were all reasonably attainable from their ADP spots for most teams to be able to get most, if not all of them.
Right. So write these down and draft them.
So my quarterback, Matt Ryan for the Atlanta Falcons. Running back, Kenyon Drake for the Arizona Cardinals. Wide receiver, DJ Moore for the Carolina Panthers. Tight end, Hayden Hurst, Atlanta Falcons. And the New England Defense Special Teams.
All right, very nice. And then my Chairman's Choices, again, just to run through them, I had for quarterback, Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Lions. Running back was Nick Chubb, the Cleveland Browns. And for wide receiver, I had Robert Woods with the LA Rams. Tight end was Mike Gesicki with the Miami Dolphins. And my defense was the Baltimore Ravens. So again, go back, write those down, get in your draft, get all these guys. You can choose either mine or Alex's.
Whichever you like.
And you'll be okay.
You're going to have a good time.
And enjoy winning your fantasy league this season. That is our Chairman's Choice episode today, and that closes us out for our Fantasy Chairman relaunch week. We're coming out to the public here. We hope you guys have enjoyed all the episodes that we've put out this week, and we are looking forward to interacting with you on social media. You can find us at Chairman Fantasy or at FindFF Leagues. You can also visit us at www.fantasychairman.com. And we appreciate you guys. We love our fantasy football community.
Oh, yeah, we do. We're happy to be here.
Oh, yeah. Alex, they can find us on Spotify.
They can find us on Apple Podcasts.
On Google Podcasts.
And Spreaker as well.
And there's several other places out there that I'm just not remembering right now.
Lots of podcast places. But just, listen, download, and if you really like us, leave us a rate and review.
Hey, we'll see you later. Have a great season.
Adios.